Hello, and thank you for joining us, listeners. Myself, Sonia Clark, bringing you Aimee. She is an expert when it comes to women's health and wellness, big time expert, actually. And she's a licensed herbalist. I'm reading from my list here at the moment. She's a licensed herbalist, acupuncturist with a master's in traditional Oriental medicine, which is also a head of Chinese medicine at the Well, and has a bachelor's in biology. She's been a very busy lady. She still continues to be a very busy lady. As far as she has a best-selling author of 3 books, handmade organic skincare line of products, has appeared in The View and featured in Glamour, Allure, Well Plus Good, or Well Plus Good, Goop, Shape, Red Book, and is a columnist at the Thrive Global, Well Plus Good, Mind, Body, Green, speaker at health and wellness conferences. Seriously, Aimee, you are a busy lady. And welcome.
Thank you, Sonia. Yes, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much. My schedule is full, but I try to keep it full of the things that really excite me and inspire me, and keep the wheels in motion, if you will. Keep spreading the message of what I need to spread to my people. So all of it feels good. Sometimes it feels like a little much, but I've learned over the years how to say no as well as to say yes.
Yeah, which is important. It is to know how to leverage your time and to really be of the best service to people. Certainly in the industry that you're in with health and wellness, it really has quite a lot of breadth and depth to it. And you are well known for your fertility services that you help women. So that is a very ongoing type of service, really, and involves lots of the various sort of facets, really, doesn't it?
Yes. And it's always evolving, and there's always new information. And I also am in a field, when it comes to fertility, that the challenges, unfortunately, I think continue to grow for women. I think it's becoming a bigger and bigger challenge, and it's one that's in my hopes that would go away, but I don't think it will. So I think there's always going to be a service that is needed, especially with helping women become mothers or overcome fertility challenges. So it keeps me on my toes for certain.
Definitely.
And I love that. I need a good challenge. I always do.
So you're a challenge junkie like I am?
Apparently, yes. I'm trying to ease out of that a little bit. Like, things could be easy, but yeah.
And being a mom and being in business, having products like your tangible products like your skincare line, and then your IP sort of products as far as your books, as well as then the services that you provide, and being a columnist. You've got a lot of different facets to being an entrepreneur. Certainly one that is a great role model to a lot of us when a lot of the people that will be listening that are looking at perhaps doing either sideline hustle. I'm going to cough a minute. Excuse me. Or whether they're doing a whole lot of pivoting, which a lot of people are doing at the moment.
A lot of pivoting.
Of pivoting. So, looking at what are the skill sets and knowledge and experience that people do have, and how can they build upon that to help them with their businesses. And I've given you quite a bit of intro there. Did you want to give any more of a further background to your story to the listeners?
I think, I've been in clinical practice for 16 years, and I've been writing books. I've written 3 books over the last 10 years, I guess it is. Yeah. And I think, I guess more of the background is like the fire got lit for me to be more than, and I say just, which I really respect what I do and what all clinicians do, but to be more than just a clinician. When I wrote my first book, and kind of got this taste of being able to educate the masses, and so that's really where like transformation started to begin for me, where I started to think bigger. How could I at some point my clinic practice, got so busy that all I could actually do was clone myself if I wanted to see more clients, right? So how could I now take this message to more people, and in a way that also is preserving of my vitality, because I was giving so much in the clinic and working so many hours. And, I really hope to inspire many others like that to be able to, this day and age, that we can bring our business online. Like, I just started my online business, which is my courses and, what else is in there? Like my online courses, my coaching packages, things like that. I only started that 3 years ago. And that's afforded me a lot, as far as A, it's doubled my income, but B, it's allowed me to just reach women all over the world, and then to create one thing once that can be repurposed, right? So this whole idea that, like, we don't always have to be fully present to give our message, and so I guess that's another part that I think I would like the audience to know of too, is that, but the clinic work still really feeds my soul, and also helps me it keeps my pulse, no pun intended, as a practitioner of Chinese medicine, and we feel pulses all the time, but it keeps my pulse on, like, where do people really need the support? So it is that thing where I still, like, my heart and soul is still in the clinic and what I do there, and then also teaching my associates. But that is also what helps me build the larger programs that reach the masses, right? And so, and that I'm constantly evolving and, connecting with people and building the community, so I can, even in times like this, to really be able to pivot. Like, I've just pivoted to doing some online coaching for business with another friend of mine who also has a successful online business, helping women get pregnant. And now we're reaching out to clinicians on how to turn your clinic practice into a virtual practice, right? We have experience in that. So in a time, like the COVID crisis, it was like, okay, now we can pivot. So, I feel like that's an important thing to know too, but also that I think you can pivot your business at any point in time, to understand that you don't have to have all these accolades, if you will. Like you said to me, I think to get the ammunition to pivot, that you can really pivot at any point in time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that currently with this virus situation, which is very sad, and there's quite a lot of tragedy that's going on with that, as far as the human life, as well as businesses and employment, and our microeconomy and our macroeconomy. But it's also helping us to realize, look, we are, as a species, we are really good at adapting and evolving.
Yes.
And we've been, I've forgotten the saying now. It's blah, blah, blah. With the necessity mother of invention.
Yes.
We're really learning to stop getting in our rut, and to constantly look at ways of how to serve and be of service in other ways. And it's not like this online world, for a lot of people, it's not like it hasn't been there before.
Right.
I know when I've dealt with, when I've had my bricks and mortar service-based business a long time ago, and coming across people who couldn't get to a bricks and mortar, couldn't get out of their house, and from various different disabilities. And it was always a big challenge, and it did help me to sort of look at other ways of going around it. But even now, we've got the extra backup with technology, and how to leverage that a little bit more. Plus, also the customers, our end users, our customers, clients, stakeholders, they know how to deal with that. They're even better mindset as far as how to be reciprocative with those sorts of different tools. So even though people say, oh gosh, all the walls have gone up and they're feeling very, oh, this is challenging, I don't really think that a lot of people have been that challenged.
No, I agree. I mean, I think, I have some friends who work at like bigger banks, and they weren't really set up for this initially, on how to get everybody on board with working online, or like traders, how can they trade legally from home and things like that. There were some hiccups that happened, but it's all been figured out. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like Marie Forleo says, it's all figure outable, you know, it
Yeah,
really is. And
exactly.
I think that's what we're showing ourselves right now too, is that we can figure this out and we can pivot. And I also feel like from a situation like this, I've had the luxury of, you know, I work from home more than I go into my brick and mortar now, but I haven't gone into my brick and mortar at all in the last, you know, whatever it is, 6 weeks or so. Um, is I think a lot of people are going to start to realize like, oh, I can do this from home, and maybe we're going to cut on overhead because we don't need the brick and mortars as much, and we can be just as productive from home. And it is nice to, you know, see my kid at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever that is, you know, just, and how to figure out the structure and what our priorities really are, because I think so many of us are just lost in the working, you know, what is that, living to work kind of mentality. And there's going to be a big shift there.
Yeah,
I
work-life
hope.
balance, you know,
Yeah,
work-life
bullshit, you
balance
know,
in and
excuse my
around our
language.
kids and dogs and
All our things.
all
It's
our
like, it
things.
is, all our things. And where do we fit into that? You know, the one thing I'm seeing, because I'm still doing a lot of coaching during this time, is everybody's sleeping so much more. Everybody's like, oh, I can sleep till like 8 now because I don't have to like get up and get to work and do all these things.
No
And
traffic. Yeah.
I said, there's no traffic. We're all going to be so rested. So nice. We need it. Sleep is really good for our immune system. We need it.
Getting out till we're able to go for a walk and see some sunshine. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, even in my neighborhood, I you know, like I said, I'm home 3 days a week, you know, in addition to the weekend. So I'm home 5 days a week. I have never seen so many people as I see walking up and down our street now, out for their walks or their exercises. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that many people lived near me, you know. It's like everybody's taking advantage. It's amazing. So I hope there's those things that we get to continue now, because it's like, we need that. We need to be outside and in touch with nature, and that feeds our creativity. I mean, I actually feel, and I think many entrepreneurs could say the same, I feel a bit of an explosion right now, creative wise, you know, where it's like, oh, what's next? How can I serve more? What can I do? You know, and trying to think of all these ways to really reach our community and support them.
Definitely. It's lovely sort of seeing a lot of the various different things that are coming out of this for people to be creative and to really get a big picture perspective, as well as to look at then how they can redefine themselves, to look in and to go into the various details in their lives, and to look at how they can leverage the various different sorts of skills and experiences they've had currently or in the past, or that they're building up with their future. And you know, with business life as an entrepreneur or as a business owner, business life and professional life and personal life, you know, they often meld together, and we're very melded at the moment. So this is what I'm passionate about, is that therefore we need to have and this is why I call this podcast.
If you hear that,
I can.
like,
that's why I'm smiling.
In the background, no one is being tortured. It sounds like my 4-year-old is being tickled by my mother, and he's hysterical laughing. So
I love it.
Calm anybody's nerves there.
It's the best medicine.
His bedroom is down the hall, but he's very loud right now.
It's so gorgeous, though. But yeah, it's just sort of looking at prospering in all the various different facets of our lives, so then we can achieve those ultimate goals that we're really after.
That's it.
So,
and also, like, what is our priority here? Do you know what I mean? Like, why do you want to make X amount of money? Or what is the reason behind, like, what are our whys? And to really get clearer on those too. What does success look like to you? What does prospering mean, you know? And
exactly.
I think we're all have a little more time on our hands to question that too.
Definitely. And this is why I really do get passionate about health and wellness, because I've seen a lot of business owners in particular, so small business owners and entrepreneurs, really sort of put that as their health and their wellness. They tend to sacrifice that. And I've seen it even in the corporate arenas, definitely. But it's, you know, to whatever you're doing, you need to leverage your health and wellness and have those time out times, so that you can be creative, you can leverage, you can achieve. So what would be some of your tips around that then, to help people to have a bit of an idea?
on how to
Yeah.
tap in and not get too lost in the work, right?
Mm.
There's a couple things I do. I did the 90-day year by Todd Herman a couple of years ago. Do you know that program? It's like an online program, but anyway, so I'm going to use one of his terms. It's called block and tackle, and he recommends having that in your schedule, your creative time, basically. So I try to have a 2 or 3 hour chunk scheduled into my week every third week, and that's my time. And it's I can't move it. I can't schedule anything in there. I have to be in my office and just thinking what are my what's feeding my soul right now. And I also at that time do we break our year, my team and I break our year up into 90 days. And so what are our goals for these 90 days? And so then I get to every 90 days, I go and I reassess that too. How did we achieve? How did we do there? What did we screw up? What did we rock? And how did we learn? And, and so it's this constant checks and balances.
Yeah.
And that, I would say, is something new for my business. It's probably been 2 or 3 years that I've been doing that. And it has really changed my game, because it really does keep me focused on what are my priorities for these next 90 days? How did we achieve our goals? Where can we do better? Right. And so we're constantly kind of tweaking. And then I also allow for myself, like this coronavirus is a perfect example. We were meant to be doing a 30-day mind body reset, which is a big diet overhaul. And it's a very popular program that I run online, every quarter, basically. And we realized, all of a sudden we're in the midst of this, and I'm I can't be putting dietary restrictions on people that might not be able to get to the grocery store. You know what I mean? That's not going to work. So we pivoted and we did a program about, I deal with a lot of women trying to get pregnant, about dealing with fertility fears. And there's a lot of fears for women coming up right now because fertility treatments have been put on hold, et cetera. And so allowing that stuff, so I'm not so, married to exactly what I need to be doing, that there's this inspired action is what I'd like to call it. There's room for that where, this week I actually want to talk about this instead of that, so allowing myself flexibility in my plans, but then also ultimately still always having a plan, and then blocking out the time for me to, just tap into my intuition and my inspiration, and take time to look at what my peers are doing and what inspires me, what excites me about them, how, so it's a lot of that, is where I really kind of just keep my finger, if you will, on the pulse, and allow that kind of creative energy to be coming through. But the block and tackle time was just significant for me and my business. And then weekly team calls, and we really designate. I mean, this is, I think, more corporate, but I was never a corporate person, never once actually been employed by anybody except for it's the first gig I've ever been an employee of, the first salary I've ever earned in my adult life, besides being a waitress. So I don't understand corporate world at all. But, with my team, that we're really delineated of who does what, whose responsibilities are where, and people have to check in with their goals every week, including myself as the CEO. What are my goals for the week? And, it's accountability, I guess, is the number one thing that, I think keeps the ball rolling for me. And I'm always learning more. And I ask my friends all the time who are doing something I want to be doing. I'm how did you do that? Tell me more. I have no shame in asking for support.
Yeah, which is very, very important. And support comes in lots of different ways. So yes, you can employ people to help you and support certainly your friends and colleagues, loved ones, and or that you can have different types of groups of colleagues too. So that's really lovely that you mentioned that, because I think a lot of people forget how to reach out and who to reach out. And certainly there's the professional side as far as having a coach or a couple of coaches. But it's always really a great idea to get those non-biased opinions, as well as some of those that might have a bit of a biased opinion just because they like you, and where they might see things happening or not.
Yeah, and I think that's you bring up another good point too, is I give, my team is small. There's just 3 of us at this point. Well, there's 4 actually, but she's very part-time. I give them full space to critique, and to give me the feedback that I need. When you do this, you need to do that. That kind of thing. That at first you might be like, oh, I'm the boss. Don't tell me. But not at all. That's not how we run. Everybody has their ability to speak their mind and do what they bring like, I guess, plead their case, if you will, on what they feel we should be doing, and how, and my right hand, my chief of communications, and I will get into disagreements, and I love to see that. She's welcome to disagree with me, and that keeps it real, and it keeps me honest. And sometimes I do see she's more in my groups on a daily basis. She knows more of what my people need, and sometimes I can lose touch with that. So it's like really not losing sight that, like, I know everything, because I don't, and so to really, like, I guess that's another really big tool, is to listen, right? To listen, be open to feedback and communication. And something I didn't mention too, that's really important beyond the block and tackle time, is just, I do have a daily meditation practice, and I do think a lot of my ideas come through in that regard as well. I've gotten much more spiritual over the last decade of my life, and that, I think there's a big reason my business has grown during that time too.
It's so lovely to hear. Spirituality comes in lots of different shapes and forms, really.
Yes.
And it's also, I think, a lot of the times that when you're in that quiet space, it is like being able to reach down into your creative ability. And it's a little bit similar to the incubation period of innovation, so if you can intuitively, often you can know what is the right move.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and certainly getting feedback, reverse engineering from end users as much as possible. So, because gosh, we could do anything moving forward, but it's, is it really going to be serving the right purpose? And
that's
certainly,
it. And how connected are you to your purpose, right? Like, so every call, my team call, we have our notes at the top and our mission statement at the top. And, it's just reminding us, like, how does that tie into the mission? How does that tie into the purpose? What is it we're trying to do here? What are our priorities for these 90 days, right? Is really important to constantly, like, remind yourself, that is this part of my purpose, or did I get lost and I just, whatever it is, have I gotten off track a little bit?
True, which is great that, you've got the 90 days around that, but sometimes for some people, I've noticed it depends on the industry and how fast they turn over, that some people, like, even 90 days can still be a bit too long for them, and other people,
I agree.
That's good. Yeah.
And we go over numbers every week in our team call, right? So who earned where and what, and that's constant, like, feedback. So it's not even just 90 days in there, but the 90 days, I like it because I get to have this glimpse of, like, oh, okay, that did work. Or I set my goals and I didn't quite meet them, and then why, and so then is that conversion problems? Is that, what is that, and how to look into that? And, and we're constantly learning. Especially social media. Geez, the algorithms are changing constantly. We're always learning what to do, how to do it, how to fine tune it, and so the feedback loop is just so utterly important.
Yeah, definitely. And certainly right now, because it's so changing and it's so fluid, what people, what they do and don't want, they're still not too sure entirely. So it's interesting to then look at, say, your upcoming book, and as far as it being connected to a course. I think that's a really cool idea, that they're not two separate different entities. And then the whole launching period around that, I think a lot of people, if they were in the health and wellness industry, and if they've come from being of service, I think that this is a really good idea. A lot of people would sort of, their first turn to go to look at a different type of revenue stream would be the tangible line that helps with that, but now going into the non-tangible and linking the two together, I think that's I think what you're doing with that is really lovely. So perhaps, do you want to explain that a little bit to the listeners?
Yeah, so it's for a book that's actually been released. So this is a formula we used for this last book that came out in it was March. It was a year. Gosh, it'll be 2 years. That's not crazy. Body Belief came out 2 years ago. So, and we've done many launches since, but this is basically the formula that we see working. And I do think it's interesting or it's important to touch upon too, that people that have been in service for a long time and then are looking to go online and to sell, it can feel very uncomfortable and you don't want to feel salesy. So I think that's really where you always still come in with like, where's my service in this? And even if they don't buy, I want them to get something out of the free stuff, right? That's kind of how I approach everything. So, so with the launch of my latest book, we just kind of, I also watch what other people are doing, right? Gabrielle Bernstein is a perfect example. She's a very good friend of mine, but also has been an inspiration from a business perspective for years before I knew her personally. And I kind of always watch what she does because she kind of knocks it out of the park most of the time. And I started watching the trend of like, everybody's doing this kind of pre-launch formula for their book. So if you buy the book, if you pre-order the book, you get this free course that I go and create. So I go and create like a 5-hour, and we're going to give you guys access to the course, and you're going to learn from it. And if you have any health conditions too, it's going to help you with that too. But I want you to really look at it too from a business perspective. Look at the landing page. Look at the information we collect. Look at how we've laid it all out, because we built it. We followed other people who have done it very successfully. And you get people to pre-order your product by giving them something for free, right? It's like the opt-in, and you collect their email too, which is huge because it grows your email list. Yeah. And then they get on your list and you warm them, you get them into a funnel, right? All these things, there's layers to this, but you get them in and you give them really, really valuable information completely for free. Yeah. Their promise to you is that they're going to pre-order the book. So we do have the thing where it's like enter in the book information, you know what I mean? Like your receipt information, but between us, we don't go and check that. We're not double checking that they really bought that book. We're just asking them to give us information and collect their email. And then they go in and they get this free information. And it's a great way to really warm your audience for they feel connected to you. They're like, she gave me this amazing thing for free. With it comes this Facebook group, and I get to communicate with that group and that community. I pop into that group like once a month, maybe every 6 weeks, and just, but I have my assistant who's constantly in there and recognizing the new people who have joined and cheering them on. And so they get a community, you don't just get a book anymore. You actually get a community and a course that goes with it. And it had, a significant impact on sales, right? So it's, another, formula type thing that we use in my business is the Jeff Walker, his book launch, but also he has a course called the Product Launch Formula, PLF. And it's basically that too, that you're going to give away, like it's like a 3 video series. You're going to give 3 videos with very good information. It's a free video training. And then the 4th video is a bonus. And that's where you offer them something. You're making your sale in there too. So for me, that approach has helped me tremendously because I don't really come from a sales background, and selling doesn't feel that authentic at times. I mean, now it feels much more authentic because I see what my people get out of it. I see the results now because I've been doing it for long enough that I really believe in the product. But in the beginning, it's hard to sell authentically. So the best way to do it is to give not all of it away for free, but some real good nuggets away for free. And basically then people start to trust you, and they say, oh yeah, I want to be on her email list. Okay. Yeah. Oh, the next time she sells something, maybe I'm going to buy something, it's this thing where you're really engaging and connecting, and you're serving your community. And so, that was my 3rd book. And that was the first time we did anything like that. Prior, it just like, even with my 2nd book, social media wasn't nearly as big, or the virtual community wasn't nearly as popular. But even now we've done similar things for my 2nd book that came out, 5 years ago at this point. And the sales continue to increase every single year of that book. And it's just because I go on Facebook every week, Facebook and Instagram every week, and just give away free information about fertility. And then people go buy the book. It's just this very, just back it up with passion and service. And, the business does grow. And I think some people get very apprehensive about the giving too much away for free. Like, what else do I have to give then if I give it all away for free? But you'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, there's several different aspects there that are, you touched on. Yes, there's the whole lot about, giving so much information away for free, then why bother,
Yeah.
selling something in the end there. When people say, oh, give away the best information, well, then why sort of sell something that's not as great? I think, people start to sort of preempt and think and feel around that. Then also you touched on the whole salesy thing, and people
Mm-hmm.
feel a bit apprehensive about that. And then also people would be looking at that and feeling, well, hold on, I've got, so much work in my, the bricks and mortar sort of, and all the business around there. And gosh, now I have to open up and it'll feel like another
Uh-huh.
business.
Uh-huh. And it does, and it is. And I definitely had the brick and mortar, I was definitely working just as much at the brick and mortar. I remember recording my first online course in the bathroom of our apartment in Brooklyn. I had a newborn and I was back in the clinic 4 days a week, and 100% I was hustling, but that has afforded me so much more years down the road. So I do think especially when you have a physical space and a physical practice, to then think about moving that to a bigger, and it can be overwhelming. And there's definitely a hustle factor involved. But if it's if you feel passionate about it and it's what you want to pursue, then I think you just carve away at the time. You find it where you can, even if it's like, okay, I'm going to block 2 hours on Tuesday, and this is what I'm going to dedicate to this time. And if you can eke out one thing a week, that's great. You just start where you can, start small. But I do think, unless you don't need to work and financially you're secure in that way, then you have all the free time you need to build, this other part of your business. But yeah, I definitely hustled a lot, and I still do. I kind of enjoy the hustle, I suppose, but
yeah, we get a bit like that, don't we? But I think it's great that you say, do what you can and sort of, build it up from there.
that's it. It's like, and done, not perfect, right? That's one thing we're teaching right now in this course. It's called Rise, Transform, Impact, that my friend Mark Sklar and I have put on for other healthcare practitioners. And that was like the big focus of, we really pivoted when the coronavirus hit and all acupuncturists had to close down their clinics. We just reached out to our communities and said, hey, we're just going to offer this quick course. It's 6 hours next week, to break it into, 3 2-hour chunks. And here's the price. We made it really cheap. Join if you can. And basically what we were teaching them is done, not perfect. Done, not perfect. Like, just get something out there, engage your audience, tell them that you have these other offerings for them. And because what holds people back most of the time is like, perfectionism, or thinking, oh, they're doing it better than me, or she has more followers than me. And so, and we're just getting in our own way. And I think, to trust that what you're getting out there is going to, it's going to reach the people it's meant to reach. And it's going to, even if you help one person through that, in that service, but then ultimately you can grow a business from that.
Yeah. And look, some people might sort of feel more comfortable following that, and, that'll be another sort of pathway that they'll go and might end up shutting
Absolutely.
one off, or that they might collaborate with other people and look at, growing this, but more as a collaboration type of business and platform with several people on board there, which,
and that's what I think too is so important, is like, there's no right way to do this stuff, right? There's no rule book on it. And that's exciting to me. That excites me and inspires me. I think for other people that can shut them down, but it's like, well, why not? Let's just, sometimes I do feel like we're just throwing a bunch of things at the wall and we see what sticks, and it's like, okay, guess what? That program worked this time. We changed the title. We didn't even change the program. It worked. Whatever it is, it's fascinating, but you just, you just keep at it.
Spoken like a true entrepreneur. What a journey you've been on.
Yeah, I like it. It's fun.
Did you ever really truly know that you were a deep down entrepreneur?
I think I did. Both my parents had their own businesses, and it's not something I really put together until I was a little older, but I've always been that person that kind of figures it out on her own. And I'm not a real rule follower. So it's like, I think I had it in my bones my whole life. Like, it was like, oh, you can't do it that way. And I'd be like, oh yeah, watch, you can actually, and I would figure it out. That's just how I always was. And I failed a lot. I definitely effed it up quite a few times in my life, but, yeah, and I didn't do well in that working environment where there was like someone was telling me what I had to do. And I was kind of like, yeah, but you could do it this way too. And there's so many interesting things we could do here and we could figure this out. That's always how my brain has been. So I do much better being my own boss.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would be a tip around then for people that find that they're really more like that, and with the whole sort of doing the hustle, the extra work, the extra leverage and the whole pivoting, would you give them a tip around, say, how they can try to balance that for themselves more with their inner peace, and because you've spoken quite a lot about being focused and about your way of inner peace, but it's like I'm speaking to a health and wellness expert here, so I'm trying to dig down a little bit more. What else do you think that you could perhaps give some tips around?
I mean, I think you have to practice what you preach. That is such a priority for me, because it's like, if I'm putting myself out there, I need to be authentic in my message. And so if I find that I'm starting to compromise myself for the means of the business, it's like a no good. Like I pull the stops. That's no good. I need to, so I mean, part of what I preach obviously is, if you just, in order to achieve your health goals, you need to first and foremost learn how to nourish yourself. And that's mentally and emotionally and physically and nutritionally. And so to me, that's like really the key.
Yeah.
And I also think, as I practice what I preach, I get to actually then witness, like, oh, it's challenging right now during such and such to actually work from home because I got a 4-year-old laying outside or banging on the door. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in it. I'm the relatability factor is really important. So, to be able to experience or just at least understand the problem you're trying to solve for others.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And I do think, like, for me, the focus piece is hard. I rebel against some of that structure, but I realize how important it is. So I really make the time for it now, where it's like, and within that structure, as long as there's some flexibility for me, then I do really well. And I think I've been given, by the spirits, if you will, the right team that really supports me on that too, that understands my mad scientist aspect, where it's just like, all right, Aimee's in one of her things and she'll be out of it soon enough. And we just stay to our structure, I mean, I had such disdain for the initial weekly calls at a certain time. I was like, what are these calls all about? This is stupid. Why do we need these calls? Now I love those calls, and like my weekly Facebook Lives has to be at a set time every week. I resisted that. And then now I realize how important that structure actually really is for my explosion, my mind that's constantly going. So, so I think to pay attention to, like, where do I need a little more focus? And then where in there can I actually still allow my creative process? And also in all of that, where am I being kind to myself? And does this feel like good, serviceable work? And work in quotes, or does this feel like I'm efforting too much? I really try to stay away from the efforting too much.
Yeah. Oh gosh, so many pearls of wisdom in there. So that's so awesome. And you covered off on so many aspects there. It was so lovely. Really fabulous nuggets of gold there. And I think that I really implore people to rewind and listen to this and to listen to all of those different aspects that you touched on, because just gold, almost like you got off you went for it, you were going boom, 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 and I'm like, oh, so lovely.
Oh, thank you.
That was lovely. All right, so looking at 2020, what would be on the horizon for you?
Well, gosh, 2 months ago, there was a different plan in place. And now all of a sudden it's like freaking May. How did that happen? I don't know what happened. I was planning to revise my book, Yes, You Can Get Pregnant. But like, as of today, that is dead in the water because the publishing house was just being wankers, I think is a good word. And I just said, I don't need this. I don't need the extra stuff on my plate. So for 2020, I think what it looks like for me is, I've found I really love teaching the business aspect to other practitioners. And so that's been like something fun, and I'm continuing to explore that and explore a mastermind and things of that nature. We have my big launch for my e-course in September, which we launched that. Again, that's another thing. Like, I would have launched that like 5 times a year and at not scheduled times. And we've learned you do it once a year, you close it. That's what works best for my community. Everybody's community is different, but there's a schedule there. My whole year is mapped out, and I never was like that, but it really works for me and our team. And so 2020, that launched, I have a real goal there that I plan to hit and to meet, to reach as many women as I can, and to also meet my financial goals too on that course. And we'll see, there's definitely something brewing in me around another product that I will offer my community based on things I want to expand upon that I was going to do in the revision of this book. And so my head's just kind of, moving around in that space of what is that going to look like? Is it going to be a digital course, or is that going to be another book that I'll go to my current publisher with? So we'll see. I mean, 2020 has kind of been unfolding interestingly and differently. I also personally hope to get pregnant this year. That's another personal goal of mine. And so, yeah, I think that's part of the focus too, is I've cut back a little on work so I can prioritize me and my health and have a baby. And well, I probably get pregnant in 2020. I don't know if I have a baby in 2020, but so yeah, so that's it. And I guess, as you can tell too, we have our plans and our launches as a team, but I also am always working on, something new in my brain. And now that I'm not going to have this book deal, it's like freed me up. I think there'll be some good nuggets that are going to come out of it for me and what I'm going to do next.
It sounds fascinating. I've really enjoyed getting into your mind there and sort of seeing all of the working things going on there. I can so relate. This whole being organized and analytical, creative and chaos and backwards and forwards. And I'm like, oh, it's so nice to find someone else that's so much like me. It's
I got yelled at on my team call on Wednesday for answering emails while I was on the call with the team, and my chief of communications was like, I would really prefer you to be fully present during this call and not answering emails. And I was like, do you know what my day looks like? I'm going to answer emails. It's just that's how it goes, so you just be easy on yourself, everyone. You're all doing great.
Oh, that's so lovely. That's so lovely. So with and look, I wish you all the very best too with the whole falling pregnant. Yeah, that'd be so cool.
I believe it can happen. I believe in my body. Yeah. So it's just the timing. Well,
that's the most important thing. If you're putting it into your body, it then starts to come into fruition. So that whole subconscious thing as well as the conscious thing, and
it works, man. It works. It really does.
Yes.
And you guys will see that too if you go and take advantage of the book gift that we're giving you. From a business perspective, I think it's really good to look at how we put that together and how it works to improve sales. But also for any of you looking for any mind body, wellness tips, the course is really nice. I'm proud of what I put together.
Yeah. Beautiful. Good. I was about to say, well, let's talk about that. So your offer. So
yes,
go for
it. It's if you go to aimeeraup.com/book gift. And so basically we're giving you guys access to the course that I created as a part of the launch from my most recent book called Body Belief, which is very much about the mind-body connection and how to heal from autoimmune diseases and learn to love your body more and shift your health and all of these cool things. But so it's a 5-hour digital course, and there's cooking and qigong and meditation and some really good conversations about like environmental toxins and things to avoid. So there's a lot of good education, I think, for any consumer out there or anybody looking to be more vital and reawaken their health. but then also I think for all of you to be able to see too that it's quite simple. All of this was filmed either with my laptop or on my phone, not with a big filming studio or production. You know, I did all the editing through iMovie, uploaded to YouTube. They're all unlisted or private videos. You know, you can use Vimeo. So also to see that, you know, it did take time. I probably blocked a day at least, maybe 2 days to film all that and edit it and get it uploaded and all these things and create the content. But what a valuable, you know, and it's a forever, like the gift keeps giving. We link to that a lot, right? So it's something else that we can repurpose and give away on a regular basis. And so to remember that too, of the things that you get to create now that you give away for free can be repurposed a lot, you know, that you always want to have some kind of call to action in anything you give away for free. That way you can collect that email and continue to grow your list, which is very valuable.
Yeah, so it's just so multi-leveraged. I'm fully into leveraging, you know, we've got yay much time, you know, while we're alive on this planet. So look, we need to leverage as much as possible so that we can achieve the ultimate goals and to share time with our loved ones, you know, so that we're not selling off our time and our soul. Gosh.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like, what is this all really about? And what's really important? What are our priorities? And that's, you know, for me, I feel like I hustled for a long time. So it's really nice to be in a space now where, not that I don't, but I kind of pick and choose the hustle versus like constantly feeling like I had to go and do it all and do it all. It's I can hand it over now too. And so, what is the priority? And how, someone said that to me once years ago, how do you define success? And I think that's a really important question to ask yourself. What does that look like to you? What does that actually mean? Is that a 3-hour work week? Is that, you know, 7 figures in the bank? What is it? You know, what is it?
Exactly. And it can change. And for people to feel
it can change all the time.
Yeah. To feel okay with it. Yeah.
The flexibility in it. Like that's it too. Like I have an idea of what my year looks like, but I'm flexible. I'll see, you know, things are coming up and unfolding, and we'll see how it all goes. You know, am I going back to my brick and mortar in June? I don't know. Or am I going back in September? Or am I going back in 2020? I don't know. So we'll figure it out.
Just go with the flow.
As much as you can.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love that. Love it. Thank you so much for
Thank you so much.
Giving us your time and your expertise and all the tips and the extra information, and also the offering the course, which I'm going to pop the URL there on the web page there. So just so thank you very much. Is there any last minute things you might want to say to our listeners?
No, I think what I said just before, you know, I think trust that you are doing your best, even if sometimes you feel like you're not, right? You know, be easy on yourself in all of this. And, you know, I think slow down enough so you can hear the inner guidance and the inner wisdom, you know, instead of just the efforting and the doing. Like if you give yourself the time to slow down, the efforting goes away and it's replaced with inspired action, which is where I really think the movement comes from, you know, the message to the masses. I
love that. Inspired action. Beautiful.
It's an Abraham Hicks term. I'm stealing it from my teacher, Abraham, but I love it. It is efforting versus inspired action. Efforting just feels like a lot of work and a lot of resistance, and like you're really pulling teeth. And inspired actions like, oh, isn't this fun? Oh my God. And then this is so much fun. And then this is so much fun. And that energy is where you want to be creating from.
Yeah, definitely. Love it. Thank you so much again.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great one. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.